I don't understand this whole phenomenon of saying I can't be a good dad and a good partner.
A man's time is limited. You know, he can either clap the cheeks or be a good dad.
A pastor wife says she was graced by God to prepare her husband for his mistress visit.
Where your husband at now? You don't know. But she knows where her man is.
However old Shannon is, dealing with the 19-year-old allegedly when they first started talking.
And when I think about it, it's like, Shannon, you should do better.
I try to encourage people to live marriage the way that they feel like it needs to be lived.
Some black men was never raised to be a husband in the first place.
Census Bureau said there are more married black men than married black women. Go deal with them.
Welcome to yet another episode of the BLC Pod. Pew is the name of this game, Season 5. That was 5 PMs, by the way. You see the theme happening here? That's right, Season 5, Episode 3 of the BLC. But before we continue, we'd be remiss if we did not wish a get well soon to our guy, Just Jay. You know what I'm saying? Our heart goes out to my brother. You know what I mean? We wish you get well, my brother. We'll see you soon. But before we get into the introduction of those who are able to make it and hold it down for the BLC, we want to remind y'all, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, share, and all that good stuff. And also, we appreciate the commentary and the commenting. We would not be here if it was not for you. So continue to get your comments on. And oh, shit. We got merch. We got the merch, y'all. Pew, 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 pew. And we got some new merch coming for y'all. So check out the blcstore.com for the merch. You already know what it is. Speaking of having most of my people with me, you already know who it is. S&M in the building. S&M shows in the building. I mean, come on, man. I know I got James not here, but I'm going to need a little bit more energy than this.
But he was like, pew, pew, pew. Hey. I always come with the energy, and today my energy going to be a little toxic. So just bear that in mind. And so really quickly, just want to give a shout out to Tia for being with us on her birthday celebration. Shout out to that. We appreciate
Happy
you.
birthday.
Thank you.
And so be sure to drop her a happy birthday in the chat as well. Although I will acknowledge that it was last week. This week is now belated. So put that in front of there. Last but not least, oh my God, I talked to my son, and my son should have been graduating from college, but he just informed us that he is not graduating from college until next year. And with that being said, it made me think about babies. And I was like, wait, thank God I don't have any more kids, because I'll be disappointed, but maybe not so much, because somebody will say President Donald Trump is currently thinking about a $5,000 per baby. So if you want to be a baby mama, but you think you're too broke, you still too broke with $5,000. But still, the option is there. And if you have 6 kids or more, you may get a medal. So maybe something to think about for all you baby mama wannabes out there. Boop, boop.
Not an Olympic gold medal for being a baby mama. I mean,
A
who said
surprise.
Donald Trump don't care about black people?
Remember, you got to have 6 kids, though.
Y'all thought those Trump shoes was not going to work. Anyway, Tia, what's happening?
Hey, y'all. Hey. Hey, y'all. Good to be back. My second week in a row, and I'm excited to be back with the team. I've just been living life, kind of exhausted, looking to plant my feet somewhere, but I can't seem to escape all of the things going on in the media. And one of the things that caught my attention was the Kanye saga. I hate the fact that he's being scapegoated and placed in a disposition to look like he's such a bad guy. I think most people just fail to realize that this man has issues. He has problems. He probably needs to have a pill that he hasn't yet accessed. So I just, I look at these kind of things and I'm like, damn, black people, we be judging each other so harshly sometimes. But I have to admit that the cousin song and the reference to his family and their indiscretions, it was still a bit much, Kanye. It was a little bit much. So take us out the chat.
Yes. And you know what? I get it. I can see why that resonates. You know what I'm saying? For you 1000%. Appreciate you.
Yes.
And happy belated, man. I felt so bad.
Many thanks.
I was such a horrible, that's my bad. Y'all can just comment at me. Y'all can at me in the comment section. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But I appreciate you for tapping in. Happy belated. And then we got my man Delvin, the expert. We found out last week what he was an expert in, but I don't know if we really found out. But Delta, what's happening, bro?
What's good? What's good? What's good? Hanging in here another week. Glad to be here. Blessed to be here and preparing for my cigar extravaganza. Hope you all can make it. So we're looking forward to that. The wife just left me here to my own devices with you fine people. She's going to a taco festival, and S&M told her not to bring me any tacos back because I am watching my figure. So she's my new accountability buddy. So I appreciate that, S&M.
Nothing but love here. Nothing but
making
love.
sure I keep it tight and don't have to buy any new jeans. So shout out to you for that. I appreciate it.
I'm just gonna let you just do that thing right now. I'm gonna just do that. Oh no, but listen, you know what? I really do be looking forward to these moments, and I realized how much today because I almost didn't make it today. My internet was tripping. You know what I'm saying? I had to go to the Comcast store. I came back. I'm like, no, me not being here. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I already had my little concession speed going. Like, you know what, man? I was still watch. I was still support. Y'all gonna continue on without me. Although low key, I might have been hating. But the one story that did come up that we're not going to talk about, but I was like, when we were talking about the whole freakiest, sorority one, and it wasn't, unbeknownst to me, I didn't know that I had, the details of that. We had some sorority sisters amongst us. You know what I'm saying? Because I really didn't get it in my bag. Like, if I didn't want to, low-key offend anybody, I'd have to go AKA and Delta and shit, right? But I'm not gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? Just off of, interpersonal whatevers. But if I would have said the whole freakiest thing and picked the wrong person, then I'm like, oh shit, what coincidence that person would have been sex positive. So you know what? I'm just gonna pass on the whole freakiest sorority thing. But I want to encourage our viewers to comment in the comment section. Who do you think is amongst the freakiest of the D9, or I guess the D4, right? Not because as far as the ladies, I don't too much care. But you know what?
We care about the men too.
Let's open up for everybody. Who do y'all think on the men's side and on the women's side? Who's the freakiest? You dig what I'm saying? I don't know that alphas would be rated very high on the men's side in this case. You know what I mean?
Not really.
We stay a little buttoned up, even though if you know, you know. But anyways, man, let's start the show. Let's talk about it.
Well, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm just thinking about the freakiest frat. But with that being said, because now I'm like, can I comment in the chat? What's the freakiest frat? But so recently we had Omarion, brother. He just had he was on a podcast and he revealed something that was kind of surprising to me, but I would love to get your thoughts on this. He basically stated that he cannot be a good dad and a good boyfriend, aka a good partner. And so I'm just curious, what exactly does that mean when someone says they can't be a good dad or a good partner and a good partner? Let me say that.
A man's time is limited. He can either clap the cheeks or be a good dad. That's all he's got time for. It's very limited, and we have to respect that man's time. So, being full-time, being a dad and being an active father and taking him to camp and practice, that takes a lot of time. So he's like, I can't be here for you. I'm sure he can be there after 9. That he's probably because the kid's gonna be asleep then. So the after 9 to maybe 2 or till the kid gets up in the morning for class, then he's available then. But otherwise, that's the best he's got, and hopefully he told her that sooner rather than later. Than not tell her. We'll see what happens. We'll see how it goes. So hey, shout out to him for time management and transparency. So
he gonna tell her.
You shake. Yeah, you shake your head, S&M.
You gonna tell him after the baby?
Yeah, that's afterwards. Yeah, I was like, he told her after the baby.
Okay,
he told her after. He didn't tell her before. He told her after. So,
the timing wasn't that great.
Time wasn't that great.
She's giving you the side eye.
We're here now. We're here.
She's giving you the side eye.
I am giving you mad side eye, and not only that, I'm also giving you the froggy frown face too. But it's okay.
Froggy frown face.
Do we have a little bit of? I was about to jump in just a little bit. Do we have a little bit of understanding for the fact that at least he was honest? Like, at some point he decided to tell the truth and he wanted to make sure that she understood that I can only be great at one of these things. Don't expect too much from me. And I think that it's hilarious that, someone would even think that, right? I don't necessarily agree, but I respect the fact that he had the ability to be honest and upfront with her.
Yes. Now listen. Listen. I feel like I got to put some context to it. Okay. This brother was talking about Janae Aiko. Okay. It wasn't just a random shorty he was talking about. He was talking about Janae Aiko. You dig what I'm saying? So, I was like, bro, what happened? You know what I'm saying? But then as I sat there, as I normally do, I took my judgment away and I wanted to empathize with what he was really saying. And I think what he was saying was with the dynamics of that relationship left him in such a position to where he had to make a choice because he couldn't be in a relationship with her and probably succumb to what she needed in the relationship sense, right? And then also be seen as a good dad, right? Because if you really think about what he's saying, this is not Nick saying this, but I can read between the lines. He's saying that, listen, I could be a good dad, right? But if I'm in a relationship with you and I'm not living up to your expectations in the relationship, then not only will I not be a good boyfriend or significant other, but I won't be a good dad either. You know what I'm saying? And how many men can relate with that fact, right? The fact that no matter what you do for your child, if you're not fucking around with that woman like that, she's going to look at you as anything but a child of God. So when I dug deep, I was like, oh, that's what he's saying. Now, was he the most articulate? No. You know what I mean? I mean, the last time I saw him and his brothers was eating like, I think, was it pineapples or some shit on stage? But that's not the point. The point is that young man was figuring himself out. And can you imagine what it was like to be in a relationship with Janae Aiko? You know what I'm saying? Like, he's Omarion's brother. He didn't want to be a manservant the rest of his life, did he? You know what I mean? He gonna walk around like A$AP Rocky. I mean, not quite, but you get what I'm saying. So I empathize with what you're saying, and kudos to him. Kudos to him for recognizing that he did not want to be carrying old girl's purse and recognizing no matter what he did, it wasn't going to be good enough. So he chose being a dad, and kudos for him and men who make that choice in a difficult situation. Yes.
So let me just go ahead. Like I said, I'm going to be a little toxic today. First of all, what the hell? I don't understand this whole phenomena of saying I can't be a good dad and a good partner. Because when you lay down and you decide to have sex and procreate, was you thinking that then? And if that's the case, and really quickly, although you threw that mad shade at A$AP, I'm just going to say this. We calling him Omarion's brother. So
that
he's already carrying a purse for somebody. So,
it's a man purse.
So that tells you it ain't matter what type of relationship in because he's already the sidekick anyways. So with that being said, with that being said,
you don't be a sidekick to somebody.
Okay. So with that being said, though, on the positive side, he do have some positive points, right? He did own up to the fact that he could either be a absentee father or he can be a good father, right? Because that's the only way I see it. You absentee or you're a good father. There's no in-betweens, right? And so I appreciate the fact that he's choosing to be a good father. Matter of fact, he should be a great father at this point or along the way because he's given up his relationships. And I hope that means he's given up all relationships because that means if he want to continue to be a good father, he can't show up in any of his relationships as a good partner. So women, if you hear this, make sure, I understand he's Omarion's brother and you might want that proximity to Omarion. I understand that, but make sure you heard his words on this interview and recognize that he's telling you off the bat that I ain't going to be a good partner because I got to be a good daddy. And I appreciate that good daddy part. Go ahead, be that good daddy that you want to be.
Oh, y'all clearly did not hear what I just said, right? And this is what's so typical about these dynamics and relationships, right? No wonder he left Janae Aiko because if she was this dense about what he was saying, I would leave too. What are we talking
Where's
about?
the dense in it?
Right. How did she become dense from his decision?
No, okay, let me ask y'all a quick question, right? Do y'all not think that there are some women that no matter what you do as a father, that if the relationship just No. I'm talking about, right, because S&M was like, she don't understand, and I just broke it down, right? So I'm like, okay, let's slow walk it then, right? Are y'all saying that y'all don't understand?
You broke it down on an assumption.
No, I'm giving you a scenario where he is saying that, hey, man, like, in this relationship, I can't do both. So I'm not making any assumption. That's what he said. I'm just trying to provide.
He didn't say in this relationship. He said he couldn't be in
both,
any
period.
relationship.
He was at the time he was talking about the relationship where he has a child with. I thought it was Janae Aiko. Does he have a child with another woman? I mean, if he has one,
I'm
then I'll
just
shut up.
saying.
If he's talking about having a child and it's only with Jhené Aiko, then he's talking about that relationship. But take it off him for a second. I'm asking y'all, forget him for a second. Do y'all not think that there is some women that despite how good of a father they are, that they discount it because the relationship does not work out? Is that a thing or no?
This is about the brother not being good at being multitasking and doing two things at once. I really hate that we're trying to find a reason to validate this niggaing. This is horrible.
No.
This is horrible.
Mr. I hate whataboutism, but then you're doing some
we're not doing that this week.
What you mean? I mean, listen, y'all can't get past y'all judgment, and that's fine. And you know who else couldn't get past his judgment? Some married nigga on the internet with a fucking phone who decided to do a video talking about how black men aren't marriage material, right? And I'm not knocking the young brother, you know what I'm saying? I felt like he was maybe speaking from the heart, I guess, right? And so what are y'all thoughts about him? I think he's even married, if I'm not mistaken. So what are y'all thoughts about the young black man saying that black men aren't marriage material? What are y'all thoughts on that?
First of all, thank you, sir. Thank you for doing this community service and public service announcement, because we tired of hearing about how black women are not marriage material because we weren't raised to be wives, not recognizing that some black men was never raised to be a husband in the first place because they also was too busy working on survival. And if they wasn't working on survival, they was too busy sucking their mama titty to get it out their mouth so they can go ahead and be a man themselves, while at the same time hitting the locker room talking about how many folks they'd hitting. So I'm just going to say, thank you, sir, for acknowledging this, because if it came from a woman, they were like, oh, she a bitter black woman, or she an angry black woman. And while I sound passionate, some folks may be even interpret this as being bitter or angry, but I'm not neither. I'm just happy that this brother said something, because about time. Get off black women's back on this bullshit, because we in the same boat. We are mirror reflections of each other. So if we ain't wife materials, y'all definitely ain't husband materials. And I'll go ahead and caveat that with some.
I mean, I wouldn't understand.
Yeah, you know, he came across as some pander bear shit to me. You know, you have a lot of these guys trying to other themselves. You know, like, oh, I'm one of the good ones, but everybody else is a bad guy.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, we'll leave aside the fact that the Census Bureau said there are more married black men than married black women. Go use the Census Bureau stuff. We got the same internet as everybody. Go argue with them. I'm not telling you what the crosstabs and the sample size and all that shit. Go deal with them.
Doesn't that mean if they're more married than black women that they're married to others?
But they're married. That's the point. You said good husbands, not good husbands to black women. That's a whole separate discussion.
They also have the highest
like I said,
divorce rate too.
They do.
Maybe, but they got married. They went down the aisle, which is more than a lot of people are going to be able to say so for themselves. They're going to have a lifetime of baby mama-isms and situationships. Nobody's going to put a ring on you of significant character. It ain't going to happen.
That's because y'all wasn't raised right.
Sucks. But
that's why. Y'all wasn't raised right. You don't want to put a ring on it because you're not husband material.
I'm not husband material. I don't even know how I'm here. But we'll take.
I wasn't talking about you.
The point is, The point is, I think this is some pander shit. You know, we see this on the internet a lot of times. You get a lot of brothers, they'll come in here and try to be like, oh, I'm so great. Look at me. I'm doing all of this shit. I'm husband material, but these guys aren't. So to me, it's married man dirty macking as far as I see it. But y'all got it.
Definitely.
Go ahead, Tia. See, it was ready to get in there.
I'm going to have to ride the coattails. It is some dirty macking. It is some pick-me-isms with a penis. It's really crazy.
Penis pick-me-ism is crazy. I like
pick-me-ism. We're going to have to coin that because that's a good one. Yeah, I didn't really get his angle, but I do feel like as a woman, I can relate. I understand. And so I think the fact that he chose to present a problem and not a solution is the pick-me part. Because then if you had an answer to your question a little bit, I would respect it more. At least like this is what we should be doing to become better husbands in black relationships, right? But that's not the direction he was going. So yeah, I feel like we have some definite deficits and things that we can improve upon. But I definitely think that shit is rooted so far deep that, it's going to kind of be the way it is until society changes or improves.
You know what's funny is I was listening to S&M cheerlead with her pom-poms out. I immediately thought about Derek Jackson and thought to myself, y'all just don't learn. Y'all just still don't learn. Bruh, first of all, young man, I was gonna come on here and lace you up a little bit, right? Well, you know, actually, I'm gonna lace you up, me and give you some game because you know I was gonna kill the nigga at first. I ain't gonna lie to you, you know, but I feel like Delvin did a good job of trying because I don't want to kill people. I really not brothers, man. Brothers been killed enough. You know what I'm saying? And so I didn't want to kill the young man. I really didn't. You know what I mean? Because it's so easy to do it. He's in his car looking like he looked with this video, you know, othering himself. You know, it's like, come on, fam. You know, I don't like othering myself. You know what I mean? And I have more others to other. So it's like, come on, man. And Downing Brothers, come on, man, for real? Like you won, but then like there's no other ones out there, right? So and then S&M, you talking, but you got one too. Like it just be killing
I love
y'all
my husband. Notice I said some. I caveated with some.
ma'am,
She did.
I'm saying you got one. He's one. There's two. Like, it's like the math is not math sometimes. Delvin gave y'all the math, and it's like, there's some truth to what he is. No, but listen, honestly, all serious. I mean, no, listen. You know what? This listen, if I'm gonna be honest, there's a lot of truth in what he's saying. Right. And there's a lot of non-wives and a lot of non-husbands out there. So yeah, S&M, you're probably right. You know what I'm saying? So I don't even see what we ever be to argue about. In truth, most people probably aren't husband and wives because that's not something you can just kind of be before you are one, right? So the challenge really for most people is finding each other, being able to communicate, establish bounds, whatever, right? To get to the point of making that commitment to then become husband and wives. You know what I'm saying? So I think both sides are dealing with the issue. But this is what I wanted to say to you, S&M. Because yes, both sides are the issue. But like if I'm a hostage negotiator, right? Or a negotiator in a situation, and I have one group that I feel like is amenable to terms, right? And then I have another group that don't even realize they're in a negotiation situation. Who should I give my attention to more? Right? Or another scenario. If I have one person whose leg is broken, and then I have another person whose heart is fucking sliced on the street, complaining about, oh my God, some man did this to me. Who am I going to attend to more? Is it the woman who is bleeding on the concrete or the guy who's complaining about a broken leg? So when y'all try to be like, oh, this should be balanced, right? We should attack women or talk about men and vice versa. Like it's balanced. No, it's not balanced. Y'all the most hurt and y'all need the most help. Y'all need the most communication. I'm putting forth my efforts where it makes the most sense. Okay?
It's the manner in which that effort is put forward, sir. I said it's the manner in which that effort is put forward. But it's all good because he was technically talking to black men, not black women. Although
no, he was talking to black women.
He was talking to black women.
Y'all were his audience. We've got to be honest.
Go ahead. Talk to him, Delvin, because I don't think they really get that. He's not talking to us. Niggas who look like him, who talk like him, are rarely talking to us. Because those of us that we're not listening to them. We're not,
I know. I just said that. Y'all don't listen.
No. When we say y'all, you talk about niggas who know better, who have done better, who are better. Like, what the fuck would this nigga have to tell me or anybody else of my ilk, right? I get that he's talking to other niggas, but guess what? Them other niggas got to see certain things from you too, homie. We're not finna follow you because you got your camera phone up.
So because he ugly and dusty, he don't have a right to say that black men should do better? Like, what? I don't understand why you feel he's underqualified. He's married just like you.
In the late great Kevin Samuels, right, understood that presentation is a lot. It's a lot. Listen, I understand your emotional ears are not allowed to you connect. But the thing is, if you're trying to reach men and ladies, this is a car you can get the fuck out of, right? I'm talking to men. For guys who want to reach men, this is not the way that you do it. Niggas don't like being talked down to, and if they're gonna be talked down to, it's gonna be by a nigga that they respect. Jay-Z can get that shit off. Right? But who the fuck, if you're trying to say, who's his customers? Who's he talking to? Who are they? No nigga. Young nigga, YN, middle niggas, nobody's gonna listen to him. I'm not saying he ain't got no message, but like niggas gotta stop the bullshit. He's not talking to men is what I'm saying. He's talking to y'all, and y'all eat that shit up. And that's why Derek Jackson was eating off of y'all. Yeah, that's right. Real, man. But go ahead, man.
Like, no, Nick is 1,000% right. Your presentation matters. He can talk his shit if he's in the studio. He's got his lights and his camera, and he's tight, and his shirt look like it's pressed out the cleaners. But talking shit in your car about what other men are doing, wearing a black men don't cheat t-shirt while you're cheating on your wife. Niggas got a problem with that. And y'all ate that shit up. And this is kind of the same thing. And what he does, and this is the married pander thing. What some guys like him do when they get married, they decide, okay, I'm going to punch down on the single guys. Like I've got some new epiphany. Like I've arrived and I've got the Ark of the Covenant, and I'm gonna reveal the hidden truth to you niggas. You know, like you doing us a
kind of like y'all do for black women.
It's weird.
Kind of like y'all do to black women.
Exactly.
That's exactly how y'all do.
I mean, I do try to give y'all game.
Punch down.
We are doing y'all a favor.
I
are doing y'all a favor, and we're not punching down. But go ahead, SNL.
So I was going to say, well, that's what Nick is claiming that they're doing, treating us critically wounded. But anyways, that was mad quotation marks on that. But with that said, I will say, you know what though? Basically, you know, he's trying to meet them where they at. He was looking dusty. He talking to the dusties. You know what I'm saying? He trying to meet them where they at. But you know who was also talking to the wifeys or to the wives or the women that you guys are claiming on the Dear Future Wifey podcast, a pastor wife by the name of Kelley Steele. And I'm saying this with a smile on my face because believe me, this is going to get pretty toxic for me. Says she was graced by God to prepare her husband for his mistress visit. She ironed his clothes, packed his suitcases. She was preparing her husband for the mistress visits. And this was through the grace of God. So with that being said, I would love to hear y'all thoughts on this. Did this woman need some thoughts and prayers? I don't know. But what are your thoughts? Because the internet reacted wildly to this.
I think this is a good woman, and you guys could learn a few things from her, not just the ironing and, supporting her man, but you know what, letting him be himself, and getting on board. I think we need more of this. See, this is part of the hubris of some women is it never occurs to you, you know what, this woman might know something I don't know. She might have a little slice of the game that I could use. Where your husband at now? You don't know. But she knows where her man is, which is more than a lot of women can say. Salute to her. Shout out to her. We should give her a medal. Maybe Donald Trump will give her one. We don't know. But I'm with it. That is transparency. We've talked about this. So I know S&M, you're going to be a little toxic, and I think T is over there being a little toxic.
A little bit, maybe from a different angle. I love this for her. Like she should think that God gave her a blessing in order to be able to do for her man what she feels is right. Right? Who am I to judge if she chooses to cater to her relationship by giving her man special gifts? It might be something that they've talked about between the two of them. They might have an open relationship. They might be lifestyle or poly. She might just be a sucker for love. Who knows? But if she likes it, I love that for her. And if she feels like it's God's blessing, she's probably giving him the best cuckoo and he's going to get the best cuckoo somewhere else. That man is winning. Life is good for everybody.
Yes. And yes. And this is the part that I love the most, right? How she invoked God into it. In all seriousness, as a married person, I try to encourage people to live marriage the way that they feel like it needs to be lived. A lot of times, like, people are living marriage like for other people. And I get that church and religion is a strong impact, right? But I feel like God is omnipresent, omni-knowing, right? Omnipotent, all that. So God knows what's in your heart. God knows what's even in your loins. You dig what I'm saying? And so, like, God sent him, the husband, the pastor, I believe he was a leader of the church too, right? He was like, hey, I'm going to send you a wife who's going to hold you down in the ways you need to be held down. You feel what I'm saying? So maybe she wasn't the looker that you probably deserve for real. Maybe she wasn't giving you the toppy that you needed for real. But when it came to bearing your children, when it came to doing bookkeeping, when it came to being able to iron and cook and clean, she was able to give you the strength, the helpmate that you needed. She took helpmate to a whole different level. You dig what I'm saying? And I know it's hard for people like, oh, what you mean? Like, you helped him get ready to but think about this, right? If she wasn't trying to have sex with him, old girl was probably doing her a favor. Like, girl, you know what? Take my light work. I don't want that. He provided for me. He's a leader in his household. He's a leader in the community. But I don't feel like sucking his dick. So hell yeah, baby, let me get you right. You know what I'm saying? So shorty can take care of you. I feel like marriage, especially with what? Marriage within it requires sacrifice. So what did she sacrifice? What? Just a little ironing? A little kiss on the cheek? Hey, babe, have a good time. I'll see you later. The nigga still came home. Like, some of y'all be like prioritizing the wrong thing. I bet he checked a lot of the leadership, a lot of the provision, a lot of the protector boxes that she needed checked. And if she recognized that she was not of the ilk when it came to how he needed the silk in terms of his boxers, in terms of his drawers, and she was willing to help him, God bless her. And lastly, she said, graced by God. I think what she meant was the understanding, the enlightenment, the understanding that our union is so far beyond the metaphysical, for real, for real. So am I going to get in the way of God's purpose for me on this planet to serve not only my husband, but the people, because he wanted to get some trim from around the way? Kudos to her, man. Kudos to her.
Somehow she still became the bad guy with all of God's grace. She wasn't giving him enough pussy at home, so she had to be a good enough woman to let him go get it somewhere else because she couldn't fulfill his needs. Somehow, in all her grace and glory,
how'd you hear that as a bad guy?
we have that is.
How'd you hear that as a bad guy?
How do we know she's not giving him no pussy?
See, you just real quick, you characterized that as a bad thing, right? And I did not. I gave a scenario where I felt like a lot of y'all can't understand why this is happening. And I think there's a lot of women in relationships who abdicate their responsibilities sexually, right? And so I'm just imagining a scenario where there are women who can learn from this, because what that woman said was that her relationship was far greater than her need to control her man's penis. Her relationship with God spoke to her.
S&M, get him.
So look, I just want to add some additional context because no, that's not what happened in that relationship. That's not what happened in that relationship. As a matter of fact, he went on to talk about how he wasn't even attracted to her. He didn't like her.
I said that.
She chased him down like Urkel. Right. What I'm saying is, I understood that part of it, but I'm providing it for the people to say his words. His words was like, he said he wasn't attracted to her because she wasn't his preference. He was chasing his preference. She was like Urkel, and she wore him down. And finally, he was like, you know what? Let me do this woman whenever it's clever. So initially, she didn't even know she was helping him go. Like, she chose to, after he cheated on her numerous times, then she chose to accept this.
That wasn't cheating.
So he started off.
She pinned him down, and he told her what was up repeatedly. Because in that same clip, she talked about how he called her
he
out.
Was not attractive, and she was ugly.
He told her what she's admitted that he told her what was up. So that's
she
why
was
I said
crazy.
that's why I said like she knew what time it was. But she still got the provision. She still got the relationship. She still got the husband, the position in the church. She still got a good deal.
Not if you have a partner who's calling you ugly.
Because, come on, man, she valued certain things. Who are we to say that she's not?
She doesn't
in the
value
right
herself.
To value what she values.
She doesn't value herself.
It's so easy for us to say that, but have you seen her? Tell me, have you seen her?
Wow,
anybody in a relationship with in a marriage does not deserve to be talked to and treated that way. And they also do not deserve to be cheated on and have somebody else looked at as more appealing than they are. If you think that's a healthy relationship, it's not. And it's toxic. And you know it. That nigga was also nigga shit, and she's a sucker for love. She probably has low self-esteem. There's bigger things at play here. Y'all love a woman to be a play toy.
I don't want to mess up the brand, because toxic is not what you're describing. That's toxic is what you're describing, right?
Definitely.
Toxic is what I do. It's how S&M and I, we get a little fun with it, some level of balance. But what you're describing is a little toxic.
It's very toxic.
And what I'm simply, and I know S&M want to go ahead and just talk her talk, but all I'm simply saying is I don't judge people. And if they have a covenant before God, I was not at their wedding. They chose to make a covenant. They chose to make a commitment to each other. And she was speaking to that. So for me, I try to honor people where they're at, what they're saying, because other than the clip and what they're telling us, we don't know for real. And that woman said she was graced by God. And she sat there and told her truth in front of the fucking world and had no shame about it. So kudos to her and whatever our judgment is. But she's going to be married to the nigga tomorrow, and it's going to be what it's going to be. But go ahead, SNL.
So I would concur that she's going to be married to him tomorrow, the next day, because if she hunted him down like Urkel until he was like, fine, let me just give you a shot, then obviously that's where she wanted to be in the first place. I'm not knocking the fact that she wanted to be, but to the other women out there, if you not his number one, she wasn't even his number 2, to be honest. Or maybe he thought she looked like number 2, and that's why he treated her like number 2. But whatever's clever. So when you talk about through the grace of God, this confuses me, because I'm like, that's not how God speaks about grace, nor is that how he speaks about love. So when you tell me these things and you're putting it on God that led you that way, was it really God that led you that way? And if you're hearing that voice, was it really God's voice, or was it your own inner voice of insecurities and self-consciousness and thankfulness that you got this man and get to keep this man because he's in a powerful position? That was talking, because I don't understand this type of God that tells you to be with somebody who's constantly shitting on you and who's putting you down. And as a matter of fact, I'm glad that he's in an open relationship, as in she accepts his mistress, because adultery was actually listed as one of the 10 commandments, as in thou shalt not. So before he got into to her being accepting because of grace by God, he was into that adultery category as a pastor of the church. But they say all men have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. So I'm not here to judge him for his sinning, you know what I'm saying? Because that's between him and his God. But what I will say for other women, don't let religion get you acting stupid out here. Because religion, particularly when I say religion, I'm going to be more precise. When I say religion, I mean man's religion, not your spirituality or your connection with God. Because if you go to church will tell you, oh, you need to stick to that man because that's the demon of lust that's in him. That's why he keep cheating on you. Oh, he an alcoholic? That's the demon of alcohol that's on him. You need to pray for him and you need to do this for him. Versus recognizing that you have your own wants and needs and desires, as well as the need to have psychological safety in your own damn relationship. And so I'm just going to say, just be careful who you choose and what you choose, because to me, this sounds like foolery, and it was not. But she said it was God's grace. So I'm going to let her have God's grace, because maybe that was God's grace talking to her so she can accept this form of foolery. So she could be like, well, God told me this, because I'd rather have this illusion of God telling me this versus recognizing this is my choice. I actually chose this. Versus saying, but I can rely back and say, oh, this was God's grace, because now I look holy moly, especially since I'm the first lady. Go ahead, girl. I see you.
It's funny. This is actually going to lead right into the next story, because I feel like y'all have a lack of imagination as women. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all act like there are, I'm just going to give you a quick scenario, right? If that woman wanted a pastor, like let's say she targeted a pastor because she valued being with a man of the cloth in that community. And she said she's willing to pay whatever the cost is because she has a target on that particular pastor. She had the choice of dating Ronald from up the street, who would have gave her love and treated her like a queen, but she had a desire for the life that pastor would ever provided, right? In that scenario, is it possible that it's not a self-esteem issue? It is more of what she chooses to prioritize and or put up with. Because put the emotions to the side, people deal with and make conscious decisions to deal with things beneficial and non-beneficial all the time. So I get what y'all saying. I'm not taking nothing away from the religious part, S&M. I agree with you. And I'm also not taking nothing away from women who have low self-esteem. But when I say y'all have a lack of imagination, it seems like y'all can't imagine there are some women out there who prioritize something differently than what y'all would prioritize. And because of the position that she is coming from, she recognizes that, yes, she ain't the cutest thing. But so she was ugly her whole life. That's not bothering her. She had a vision. She knew what she wanted. And she went out there and got it, for God's sakes, right? And so, yeah, we look from judgment, but her priorities could be different, which is why I'm saying it leads perfectly to this next story, because what we have here is a 52-year-old, or however old Shannon is, dealing with a 19-year-old, allegedly, when they first started talking. By now, everybody has talked about ad nauseum about Shannon Sharpe. Now, where the correlation comes in at is because what we've also learned about his situation, right? I believe he has a lawsuit of $50 million. The young lady, who turns out, I'm not going to say her name, but she was Jane Doe in the case, right? I'm not saying we can't say it. I just don't remember it right now or even really care to say it. But nonetheless, the young lady was 19 when they first met. She was on OnlyFans. They ensued into a relationship. Apparently, this lawsuit has kind of been in play. There might have been offers before. She's being represented by attorney Tony Busby, if I'm not mistaken, who was the same attorney, and we all know this by now, who had the last case against Jay-Z that was kicked out. But this young lady has released clips, of conversations. So has Shannon. They've gone back and forth trying this case in the court of public opinion, along with, accusations or sayings that he, offered $10 million at one point in time. There's a lot to unpack here. But again, that's where the correlation is for me. But I'll just open up before we get into it. So what are y'all thoughts? There's so many different angles, the age difference, the race play, Black men on the brink of success, getting caught up. We can start wherever y'all want. And feel free. Let's get at it. Let's get into it.
Shannon Sharpe has had enough chances in the media recently. He's had enough chances and hiccups with women, with media, with it coming out. I mean, Cat Williams sat on his show and told him, leave them white girls alone. And even when he asked Cat Williams why, he said, it's not because I'm not attracted. He said, there's just a history of how they treat us, and I don't want to give them any money because I don't trust it. And then, what's her name? Monique got on the show and did the same thing. Stay away from them young girls, brother. Don't do that, brother. You're better than that. What does this Nic Nice do? He finds the youngest OnlyFans. He finds her a 19-year-old who looks like she's 18 or 19. And then he goes and tries to commence to have a relationship with somebody. When I look at those text messages, I'm like, this man has to be a fool. Give me your big black baby. All of the race play stuff just makes it just that much more worse and icky. And he gives me the ick. And when I think about it, it's like, Shannon, you should do better. You got way too much money to be, dwelling in the bottom feeder pool. Even if she has $5 million from OnlyFans, that man has been working for over 40 years for a career, and he should know better and do better and try to date somebody in his own damn tax bracket if he could. At least your age range, brother. Damn.
I mean, this kind of goes to what I always say too. You know what? Money don't unlame you. You can be a lame nigga. You just got to lame with a bunch of fucking money. I mean, so what? I mean, he should know better. And I'm even gonna take about the it's not so much the age thing. I mean, it's not my thing, but I don't even know where I hang out at where 19-year-old OnlyFans models be at. If I had to, I couldn't fucking do it. So you were already in the wrong place, right? But if you like 19-year-olds, fine. But getting into a relationship, that is some sucker shit. Like my man said, you don't pay him to stay, you pay him to leave. You were in a whole relationship with a 19-year-old. You were probably cuffing with this little chick, spooning. Y'all probably showered together. It was just y'all were just doing bae shit. It was way too fucking much. Shannon Sharpe should fucking know better. And you guys always losing out on losing the bag behind some cheeks. We just went through this with Shannon Sharpe's guy, losing the bag behind some box. I don't know. I'm disappointed. This shit, Shannon Sharpe shit, is why the aliens won't fucking visit us. That's how I fucking
Right.
That's why the aliens won't visit. That's
how I feel.
So I'm just gonna say this. I understand, Auntie. I understand. I personally feel like it's because we was calling you Auntie. I got it because you was a little messy on your show. So I understand why you felt the need first to leak that little clip of you going grunting and stuff onto Instagram. I understand because you want to show your powers. You was like, yo, this me. And so I understand that. So I ain't gonna call you Auntie no more. Uncle. I don't know. But anyways, I was trying to figure out how I can merge aunt and uncle together, but you saw it didn't work out that well. So I'm gonna go ahead and call you Unc because at the end of the day, you Unc. So Unc, that's nasty. I don't care what color she was or is. That's nasty. She 19. Teen. And so you over there fucking your granddaughter, basically. And that's nasty, sir. But on the more serious note, because I understand folks would say, but she was legal. Yep, barely. I understand, but she was still legal. Okay, cool. I got you on that. So this one, I'm going to clean it up for you. I'm going to say this. I agree with Tia and Delva in this sense that, first of all, you got too much money to put yourself in this position. Second of all, I don't understand why we continue to see this where people literally ruining their careers, literally ruining their brand over some coochie. you know? Like, at least get coochie that got the same amount of things to lose as you got, you know? Like, I don't understand why in the hell you're willing to risk all of this. And then I realized, once again, going back to the fact that there was a lot of folks trying to say you may be gay or in the closet. And so maybe you felt like you had to prove your prowess. You know what I'm saying? So that may be our fault for kind of shading you that way. And when I say our fault, I mean certain people in the Black community, and maybe a little bit including me, you know, because I was calling you auntie with the messiness, but that was for the messiness, not for the dick play. With that being said,
Uncle, that's what you got to call them.
So, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to call you Unc. You know, I'm going to put some respect on your name. Well, on that uncle part. But anyways, so I understand in our community, especially with Black men, there's this big overwhelming need to flex, flash, and do all these other things to say, I am the man, ha, 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 and put your chest out. You know what I'm saying? I get it. You was wearing that purse, and ever since then, it ain't been right for you. So it's cool. It's cool. With let me stop. I'm throwing a little too much toxic out there. So
Oh, what? A little too much for you?
I'm doing a little too much. I'm just gonna say this here. No, I want to be on the serious tip too. I'm just gonna say that we talk about, you know, some men love to talk about how there's high value men. They love to talk about how they're high value men. But I think high value isn't just the money and the success. I also think it's about the character. And I'm actually questioning his character at this point, because there's too many things in these texts and in this stuff that came out that make me question who you are as a person. Now, this is your personal life, so I'm not trying to get too far involved in your personal life. So I don't appreciate the group chats that you put us into, all those texts, because I didn't need to know about your big back baby that she wanted to have, or that you was going to choke her out because she was saying one thing too many times. You like, you want to be choked. Yes, you do. And I'm like, I ain't need to hear all that. Matter of fact, I'm mad at myself for listening. You can't build an empire if you're entertaining chaos all the time. And that's what you was doing. You were entertaining chaos under the guise of getting cooch, because it made you feel good about yourself. It gave you a warm and fuzzy. It was like wrapping you up in a hug. Well, now that rap came with a $50 million lawsuit. So enjoy your rap. And I hope that this works out for you in the way that you wanted to work out, because you gave her that 10 mil, but she was like, hey, you offer me 10 mil, then I know for a fact I can at least get 25. And then her lawyer probably was like, nah, you can borrow to get 50. So you enjoy that hug that you got, warm and fuzzy you got, and recognize that warm and fuzzy, it costs to pay, you know, or it's, what is it? Pay to play?
Pay to play.
You knew that when you got that OnlyFans person. You knew that she was OnlyFans, so therefore you was paying to play. But, you know, protect your name, protect your legacy, and choose wisely for all these other men who have not found themselves in this situation yet. Because at the end of the day, the only thing you should have been concerned about was your family, your foundation, and your legacy. So, because that's where your real power lies, versus flexing and flashing, saying, yeah, I got this young buck, this 19-year-old. So that's where I'm at.
I am so disappointed in the position that y'all put me in again. Right? I want to start off with a couple of disclaimers. By and large, I'm vanilla when it comes to like my personal life. I'm gonna start by saying that, right? Which is why it's even more funny to me that 2 out of 3 of my other guest hosts are saying some of the things that they're saying, because I would think they'd have a little bit more empathy and understanding in terms of like judgment when it comes to how one expresses their sexual proclivities. So I'm gonna state that first. But these are not things that I experience. And I feel like we gotta say this up front, right? Because I can have the ability to understand where people are coming from. And I realized a lot, and I want to shout out Clubhouse for this, because when people say things like, I don't understand, what I realize is that they don't want to understand. They'll say they don't understand because I think it's just we're used to saying that. Because if you do then want to understand, it's not that hard to understand. Right? I think for whatever reason, judgment doesn't allow us to understand. So yes, we can berate the bad decisions and the course of them that he's made, but I want to point out a couple of things, right? Because I feel like this is an educational moment. And for the 2 of my guests, my co-hosts who maybe have more experience, right? Because when I say like sexual proclivities, there's like a lifestyle, you know what I'm saying? Like people do different things, from midgets to orgies and all kinds of stuff. Like what's funny is on like websites, like the porn ones, there's race play. There's actually a thing called breeders, for example, right? The entire thing is the fantasy of, yes, I want to have your baby. I want you to come in me. Like that may not be my type of time, but that is part of that interracial breeding play, right? And so in some scenarios, it's weird, it's kink, right? I get it, but it's not my cup of tea, but I understand it because there is that race component, right? Like the same, there is the forbidden fruit aspect to niggas wanting to fuck with white girls. And so in that vein of porn or that lifestyle, that's race play. So for y'all who are uninitiated and y'all hear things like, put that big black baby in me, that's what that is. The same way the niggas do cuck shit, like some weak ass vessel watching his wife get rammed by niggas, right? This is typically a white dude. That same racial dynamic in play where, yeah, that shit happens on the other side too. Okay, so this is outside of, I'm trying to address this piece by piece because I feel like for me, I don't judge. That's not my bag. You know what I'm saying? That's not my bag. Yes, could I think it's a little lame or can I use it as a learning opportunity? Absolutely. But that's just not my thing. So I just wanted to educate some people because that's just what they do in that bag. You know what I'm saying? One of many bags. So please stop me when, as the person who's not in the community, respect when I hear people in the community talk about a certain level of respect, a certain level, I guess maybe privacy. And maybe in this case, I don't think he was trying to put it out there. So can we blame him for not keeping it private when he became the victim of a shakedown, right? So I get the judgment here. Right. And I'll let y'all have that judgment. All three of y'all judge them. I'm just trying to give the opposite side of like the human being. You know what I'm saying? In terms of how many of us make mistakes and we get caught up. This wasn't like the nigga went to a random shorty. He went to a fucking professional. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you were to talk to niggas and say, hey, bro, if you're going to be moving a certain type of way, would you want to go with a regular chick or do you go with a pro? Because as part of the game, pros are supposed to move a certain type of way. You know what I'm saying? So there may have been some expectations that shorty was going to move a certain type of way. Does that mean, does it invalidate anything that y'all saying in terms of, hey, bro, you got this value, you have this worth, etc.? No. But I felt like a lot of that shit was laced with judgment and some of it with ignorance because we can admittedly say that we don't do a thing, but acknowledge that there are other people who do things. And then if you're going to start to judge, at what point in time does it stop? You know what I'm saying? The nigga didn't do nothing illegal outside of whether or not he took that or did something else he wasn't supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? Will we do it? No. But will we also be on OnlyFans? Absolutely not. So you ain't that that's what people do. Y'all niggas ain't even on OnlyFans like that. Y'all don't know that world. I'm not, but I'm at least be like, if that's what they do in that world, I'm gonna respect it. So, I mean, there's so many different, I feel like, and this is where I want to kind of go with it. I feel like, I don't know which part bothers y'all more. Is it the white girl part? Because y'all, and let me say, when I say y'all, when I hear this conversation, right, I feel like a lot of women, right, have a lot of energy behind this. And I don't know, what is it about? Because I heard S5E3 talk about the age thing, cool, right? But I don't know that I heard the same energy when it was Drea's older ass grooming or preying on the Jalen whatever's of the world, right? Because we did talk about that, right? Her being, so, I mean, which is it the race thing or is it the age thing? Help me understand where the source of the issue is because the nigga didn't do anything illegal as far as I know. Please help.
I want to respond if you don't mind,
Right.
because I don't think illegal equals morality. And I think that just because the law says someone is an adult at 18, if you have children and you have a daughter, then you should know better and do better, because you and I know if these kids at 18 aren't as mature as maybe we were, they don't have enough self-agency. They're just not at the capacity in which we had to be, just hustlers and go-getters at 18. They're not that. That's the first thing. Second, I really have to speak towards the idea that he's lifestyle, because I think that vanilla people tend to really have misnomers about what lifestyle and ethical non-monogamy is, right? And so I don't want to tell or put the label on him of being lifestyle because he doesn't represent the way most of us do it, because we have boundaries, we have limitations, we utilize safe words. And I know many a black cucks who enjoy seeing their wife get rammed by another man, but they know how to do it within limitations and boundaries and set, some parameters into what they like and don't like. This young person who might have been a hustler herself chose to engage with this person, and maybe she set him up. I think she was definitely culpable in how it went down. But he, being damn near 60, should goddamn know better. It's not about whether it's legal or not. It's about, why are you really morally attracted to a child? That shit is just ick, and that's what I said before. What were you gonna say, Delvin?
that's not even you started off talking about the lifestyle, why it wasn't that, and then you went to the age thing. So maybe I'm stuck in terms of how it wasn't. How do you know he did not have the safe word or whatever parameters outside of what they put out there?
Because her
Like, how do you
text
know he didn't
message
have that?
said, when I asked you not to do it, you stuck it in my ass anyway. When I told you it was too much, you stuck 3 fingers in anyway. And I said no, and you didn't stop when you stuck it in my ass. There's clearly not a safe word in play.
Okay, so
right? Clearly not a safe word in
perfect.
play.
So perfect. So you believe this was assault then? Because that's what you described just now.
I for surely feel like it's assault. I for surely feel like the interaction between he and her, do I think that she set him up? Yes. Do I think that he did things due to whatever capacity he had that was offensive against her? Yes. I think men, and it doesn't take men with money. It doesn't take a leader or a political figure.
I don't want to gloss over this because you introduced something that's not a minor thing. So I don't want to make it seem like this is just a point for a conversation. Because I thought prior to this, I feel like a lot of people assumed this was a shakedown and probably did not believe anything in regards to whether or not an assault occurred. I feel like you just basically said you believe in one occurred. So I don't want to like gloss over that. That's not a small thing.
He posted the text messages that said that.
But him posting that does not mean it was an assault. I'm asking you a direct question. If you're saying you believe it's an assault, I'm going to respect that and pause for a second because that's not what the initial question that I was asking. So I feel like it's a separate discussion in terms of whether or not we believe there's an assault that occurred. And I don't want to muddle the waters because at first you was talking about lifestyle. I don't believe there was an assault that occurred. I'm saying that people have sexual proclivities and there isn't necessarily like, oh, because you have this race kink, you can't be a part of the lifestyle. Now, if you're talking about assault, I respect and get that. I don't want to muddle any waters if you're talking about assault. So I want to just pause for a second. So please, just respect. I don't want to muddle those waters.
Respect.
The previous question that I was asking though, right, was whether it was about race or whether it was about age. So S&M, please, can you answer that for me? For you.
So for me, I said that it didn't matter what the race was. What mattered to me the most was the fact that she was young and that the expectation, I don't know, it was just an ick factor for me. So first, I did clown Drea because she shouldn't have got with nobody who's the same age as her son.
Definitely.
So I give same smoke for both. I think that's predatory 100% because like my son is 22. I can't even imagine being attracted to somebody that's my son's age. So I clowned them both. And he went to a teen. It literally says 19. And now, like I said, I recognize. So to short answer, yes, it was the age that really bothered me the most, and followed by the fact that in his need for whatever his needs were, he had decided that he picked somebody from OnlyFans, pay for play. So the fact that she used OnlyFans, pay for play, and that's what he's doing now. He's paying for playing. It's just not the amount he wanted.
Okay. I mean, I feel like y'all saying things like ick, but ick and predatory, ick and certain actions, like those are two different things. Like you can be like, this is nasty. I wouldn't necessarily do it versus, I guess when you start bringing in morality, but listen, everybody's entitled to like their own version of what they want to bring in. Go ahead, Delvin. I didn't want to.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's really far less the race thing. That's why I didn't even bring it up because I don't even care about that. If she were black or whatever, my position would be the same. This is about doing goofy shit and getting in this position to where you can have stuff like this happen to you. That's my big thing. You should know better. Hey, you want to fuck around with a 19-year-old? Cool. Drop her a couple of bands and then send her home. You were getting in a full-out relationship.
Okay.
That's my issue.
Okay, got it. So you're saying that even if this still would have came out and she would have made whatever unfounded or whatever accusations, had he treated it more like a transactional situation, you would have been more okay with that scenario. Your issue is that he had, developed feelings or tried to have a relationship with her. That's where you draw the line. I just want to make sure that I understand.
Yeah. You're interpreting me correct because we always established she's a professional. I mean, and I think Tia, you brought up earlier. Oh, she's young, she's a teen, and she, kind of framing her as a victim. She's running a $5 million OnlyFans empire. She's a mogul by any stretch.
Mogul hold on, because she has 5 million.
I don't know that she introduced. Hold on. I don't think we introduced that part. I think that might have been in pre-pro. Maybe I'm off, but maybe I'm off. But you're bringing introduced.
But she's a professional. She's she's doing her thing.
Thank you for that, right? Because I was going to ask the other question, because you didn't mention age, right? So there was age mentioned, and I guess the next question for me was going to be, does the fact that she have an OnlyFans, I didn't know it grossed $5 million, does that make you look at her differently? Because Tia said, well, if you had a daughter, right? Not knowing that Shannon has talked about how he lets his daughters move around or whatever, so we then project our values onto other people, but whatever. So Delvin, as a guy, right? I'm asking you, right? Do you look at her the same as you would an average 19-year-old? Based off of the information that you know.
The same way I don't look at an average 19-year-old the same as a 19-year-old stripper. I just, you don't. They're not, I mean, I'm not knocking. I'm not even making a moral judgment. I'm just saying, if you go to the strip club, you meet a 19-year-old stripper, then you decide, hey, I want to have a relationship with her and take her to the cookout. Then you setting yourself up for you're a goofy.
Okay.
And him, Shannon Sharpe, being worth what he's worth isn't gonna ungoofy him.
Yeah. Now, okay. So I want to go back to the ladies with this, right? Because I want to stay at the 19-year-old part, because Delvin made it clear, and I agree with him 100% in terms of it's not the same thing. So, ladies, does that matter to you all? The fact that whether she was a OnlyFans with the $5 million empire, or let's say if she was a stripper, does that change anything as it relates to her being a 19-year-old for y'all?
Not for me.
So I'll go ahead and
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, 19 is still 19. I understand that you're saying that she's a professional and whatnot, but technically they already shown studies that, first of all, we don't even fully develop until I forgot which part of it, until like 28, but that's for men and women, right? And so I would just say this. I understand that she has an OnlyFans, which means she was a business, which is why I'm going back to pay for play. It's still gross, whether she's 19 with an OnlyFans or 19 at strip club, 19 at a regular McDonald's job. It don't matter. It's still gross to me. And so I think that the OnlyFans thing may add validity to the fact that he got to pay now, but he knew he was paying in the first place. So I'm just saying that he knew she was OnlyFans. She doing pay for play, and now he's paying just not what he wanted to pay. Still think it's gross. 19, yuck.
Mm-hmm.
This is great. I'm glad you said that.
Go ahead, Devin.
So if the frontal cortex isn't developed and they're still, forming, and it didn't happen until they're 28 or whatever, okay, then fine. Then 19-year-olds shouldn't be allowed to vote. I agree.
That's literally the reason why they're not allowed to drink.
They're not allowed to drink.
That's literally the reason why they're not allowed to drink.
Thank you.
So,
but they're allowed to give their lives for the military.
How many times?
Talking about?
You're talking about in America where those standards are based on economy progress. America,
in other places, they're even younger. The fuck are you talking about? Yeah. People drink earlier in other places.
Yeah,
People
but they're not legally allowed. They're not legally allowed.
Yeah, like you've been to Germany. I mean, it's
they can't go to the store in the U.S. and purchase alcoholic beverages. They have to go get somebody who's hanging on the corner.
They can still go get a gun
and say,
then they can kill people for the government. So fuck your drink.
Yes.
Who cares if they can't get liquor? Who cares?
And they can vote, which is more damaging.
Go ahead. So we get off topic.
I don't mind that she's an OnlyFans worker at all. I am perfectly okay with that. I think sex work is great if that's what you choose to do. But let's not act like there's not 8-year-olds on TikTok making the exact same money from doing dancing videos. So what she's doing is not business making. What she's doing is live streaming. And whatever she chooses to do to get her money, I'm in support of that. So let's not make it seem like because she makes or amasses this amount of money that she is some kind of business Fortune 500 mogul that has such an intellect that she's capable of keeping up with the 55-year-old man who has several decades of life experience in excess of hers.
Clearly he does.
Clearly that Negro doesn't. And let me finish.
Not you having a...
Let me finish.
Go ahead.
Because the frontal cortex is not fully formed until the age of 26. And the reason why that matters is because what it controls is decision making. You don't really have regulated systems to make effective decision making until your brain is fully formed. And so if you don't have that capacity, which is why they have this whole pedophilia thing, right? Because children can't consent. Your brain is not formed. She's 19, yes. In America, 18 is of age. Yes, it's not the same age everywhere in the world. Cool beans, whatever the case may be. But as it relates to the moral ineptitude of what has happened, that's what matters most for me. Like, it's just morally, why would you? The age, okay, cool. The race, I don't care because people do, right? But it's just, why would you? She's 19. She's a kid.
So this is this is the thing, like fuck my feelings. I don't give a fuck about my feelings about this. My morality is not at play here. You know what I'm saying? I get it. You know, this is an opportunity for us to virtue signal about what we stand for, right? And that's part of what we're supposed to do. And I guess for me, I'm virtue signaling that I don't give a fuck about other people's moralities because they're not my own, right? So for example, if this case came up and I was asked to be a juror, last episode we talked about the scenario. And for me, I think maybe part of where I am at is wanting to look at this fairly. Like, so for example, bringing it back to the case, this brother is on, got a chick asking for $50 million, right? So let's talk a little bit more about that. Because honestly, like, whatever we feel about things, that's not your life. That's not your experience. And then on top of that, like, low key, we act like we all super fucking moral. Like, that's the reason why I'm going to use I statements, why I choose not to judge certain things, because I am not perfect. You dig what I'm saying? So yeah, people have their own things and I get it. But when it comes to the law, right? If he didn't break a law, and I guess she has to prove whatever civil case that she has. So to bring it back to Tia's point, does anybody else, before I go back to Tia, think that there was an assault that occurred here? Because I do not. Because I want to deal with that part. Because I get the setup part, and I want to differentiate how I do get that you can be manipulative and run a game and shit can go awry, but maybe my code is a little different. So Delvin, you don't think that? Do you believe there was an assault here? I just want to respect those who believe that there was an assault. I just want to make sure I know who we're talking to.
Yeah, I think I don't think so. I think this is more of like what can I get out of this guy? I think it's more of a shakedown. That's my personal feeling about it.
I mean, it's okay. We don't know. Like, we weren't there. We're going off of the facts. It's a salacious conversation, right? I'm sure if there was facts that came out that proved otherwise, we'd come on here in a minute, right? So cool.
And we talked about it's I think it's correct me if I'm wrong, it's a civil suit. It's not I'm pressing criminal charges.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad you said that, because this was not something that happened years ago, just for clarity, right? This occurred within, I believe, the last 2 years or so,
October
if I'm not mistaken.
of last year to January of this year.
Gotcha. So we don't have any issues in terms of statutory time, right? It's not like she couldn't have gone criminal. This could still be actively criminal, but for right now, we know that it is in fact civil. S&M, your thoughts?
So I can't say whether or not assault occurred because I didn't read all those texts that he put out there. And so what I will say, though, that I am concerned that if an assault did occur, the fact that she didn't press charges, because most statutory requirements for rape is like 5 years. And the fact that she hasn't done so yet and went civil is what concerns me in regards to this perhaps is just straight up a money grab. However, I'm going to say what most people say. I need to wait for more information before I judge one way or another.
Gotcha. Okay. So Tia, you believe that an assault occurred. Can you share with us why you believe that?
The only reason why I believe it, otherwise I would be agreeing with Delvin and S&M, like, we don't have enough information. I'm just going off what I saw, right? Or I'm kind of in the middle about it being a shakedown too, because I think that was her intention. He posted a text thread in order to prove it was consensual. And in the text thread, she says everything that I just said before. You did this, and I said no. You did this, and I tried to stop you, but you did it anyway. Do I think that she baited him with that text message? Absolutely. I think she did, because she went back after that act happened and had sex again. Where he gets caught up in is that his reply was like, yes, I know. Okay. Right. There's not a, what are you talking about? That never happened. Where is this coming from? He was like, we need to talk in person. So the fact that you release these, and there's not necessarily, yeah, you're right, I did it, but there's this okay kind of response. I think if any one of us was being accused of something so far-fetched, the first response would not be, yeah, okay, I understand, or I get it. That wouldn't be what I would say. And so because of that, I think there is some culpability. Because he offered her the $10 million, I think there is some culpability. He knows something wasn't right. And so I think that for me doesn't make her, it makes her a victim of sort, but it doesn't make her the only victim. Because yeah, he got played by someone who used it against him. But again, historically, this is what happens. He should have taken heed.
So you can't agree there's a big gulf between you believe an assault occurred, because I feel like what you gave me wasn't like to the heart of the assault. Maybe inconsistency in story. Towards the end there, it was like, he was being dumb. Why did he offer her $10 million, right? Because I want us to be as responsible as possible, right? Before we say things and put things on people's jackets. So when I paused and wanted to make space for, if we're talking about assault, because that's not something that's to be taken lightly. But if we're going to talk, if it's going to, because in all full transparency to the audience, right? Like these conversations, when it comes up, I feel like some of y'all, and I'm going to just say with people in general, but also women, y'all do a disservice, I think, when y'all mix in shit, right? Like sometimes just gimmies and layups, you know what I'm saying? That we can kind of be all on the same, at least on some level of the same ground, so we can see that we're all seeing things at the same way, right? I think a majority of people that I've talked to said, okay, based off of her profession, based off of what she did, based off of the release of the text messages, based off of his response, a lot of people felt like, okay, yeah, this might be a shakedown. And I get that. But when we start introducing other things, that's when it's like, well, damn, we're taking this outside the bounds. At best, these are two people playing the game, right? Like,
how is it out of bounds when he posted it? He brought it to our attention that these texts happened.
Because there is no police file. There is no case, like S&M said. She has Tony Busby, who literally just yesterday got his ass handed to them. There's a lot of things here that I think most of us can say, hey, man, it doesn't smell good. So when it doesn't smell good, the least thing we're going to do is put anything real on it. We can all have fun about it. We can all talk about whatever. But when you start talking about, yo, I think she might, like, there's enough cases that come out that most people be like, okay, you know what? Nah, this is some bullshit, right? And then you find out it's bullshit. Like the whole Jay-Z thing. When the Jay-Z shit happened, most people were like, oh, that was bullshit. It was bare to be proven it was bullshit, which is why the NFL didn't do anything. A lot of other people didn't do anything, right? So imagine if that brother who's accused of some fuck shit, but didn't do anything, has to pay a cost. These things can damage niggas. It's one thing for us to talk about it, cool, because, hey, at the end of the day, this is a civil case. Right? Different companies can decide on what they want to do to punish him. But at the end of the day, it's not like he broke a law yet. If he was charged for rape, for example, sorry for the R word, trigger warning, I guess I should have said that, then I think he would have got fired. He would have let him go. There's a reason why none of those things have happened. So at this early stage, I'm just saying we got to be careful when we put serious things on the table. Because I asked you specifically, you thought there was whatever. So you say, oh, you thought go ahead.
I think.
Go ahead.
I think it's assault. I'm not accusing him of assault because I wasn't there and don't know for fact. From what I've read, I think there was some assault that happened because consent matters, and she said no, and he proceeded. And that, to me, that is a line that's crossed. That's it. It's just simple for me in that way.
I feel you, right? But you remember how, like, I think the last episode, because some of y'all be like, I don't understand why, right? And I was saying, like, when y'all go into the comment sections and y'all co-sign certain things, y'all give off a certain perception, like, for some reason, you're desirous of believing a thing, and sometimes the worst thing, especially if there's not enough evidence. So I get it. We're all entitled to our opinions, but my opinion would be is if I'm hearing that, I'm like, what basis are you going there off of it? You know what I'm saying? Like, at least in this particular case, when it seems like most people are like, okay, yeah, this was probably a setup. And listen, maybe this sounds fucked up to say, but like when you get into the game a certain type of way, the game is the fucking game. You think like, oh, I'm finna go rob a nigga. If the nigga shoots back at me, and then I have to take some different measures that, oh my God, I was only just trying to rob him. Like at some point when you get in that car, you don't control the outcome of the circumstance. So I'm just not going to be, oh my God. No, I don't have empathy or sympathy for either one of them. But I'm damn sure not going to put like
that's where I'm at with it
on the jacket when the police has not done it. I hear you, but
I think both things can be true.
You know,
I think there's room for both things to be true. I think they were both fucked up in how they proceeded, and it's. I would never want to see a black man in this position ever. Let me just give a quick disclaimer. I love y'all. I just don't appreciate and like the way y'all
tell
move.
Sometimes
I know it's okay. It's okay. It's all right. That's all right. It's why I'm here. Right? It's okay.
Yeah.
But
so you should have more empathy for how I feel now. Good. So that's good.
Oh, you know, it's all love.
Understand it, right? Yeah.
We had a breakthrough.
We did. Look at that wall coming down. Look at that wall coming down.
I love it. You know what? So speaking of breakthroughs, are you guys good? The breakthrough, we all kumbaya and we good.
Let's
all
keep
right.
Going.
So speaking of breakthroughs,
let's keep going.
There was actually a conversation between Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, who I so love, to be honest, and Joy Taylor, and they were discussing about their high libido and how having a high libido may make it unnecessary for their man to seek out another woman. Because basically, I believe it was Cheyenne, Dr. Bryant, quoted that she has 10, her libido so high that it takes, if her man decides to step out, she's like 10 women in one. So there's no reason for him to step out because that's how high her libido is. So the first thing I'm curious to know, is it true? Because they point out their age, being in their mid-40s or early 40s to mid-40s, and how women libido tend to be higher when they're in their early 40s, mid-40s, and whatnot. And also, do you believe that this was this an empowering conversation for the women over 40 crowd?
You know, the difference between me and some of y'all out there, like, y'all might think like I'm negative or I don't love black women, but I do. Like, it just be breaking my heart because some of y'all be moving around here and just completely oblivious to what y'all doing. Y'all think some of that shit is cute, and I get it. So then when I have to like speak with love, y'all feel like I'm attacking you and something like that, you know? And plus it's a show. Look at the tag at the front of the show. It's partially entertaining. So if I can't read satire, that's a you problem. But the thing is this, right? They're both attractive women. This is like the same thing. It's like a play on from what happened with what's her name? Tracy Ellis Ross. How are both of y'all attractive and all that in a bag of chips? Sex drive is off the chain and y'all still fucking single. That shit was like a fucking commercial, low key. I get it. Sex sells, so she's doing her podcast. Cool, right? Whatever happened to that case with Joy Taylor? You know, the whole little sexual harassment thing. I guess that was swept under the rug because she was disappeared for 2 weeks. Then she came back and now she's doing this. Hey, girl, lean into it, right? Talk about your sex life. Weren't you getting some at work? But listen, the whole point that I'm trying to make, right? Because she was able to leverage her vagina to move up in that way. So I guess, hey, why not leverage it to move up in this way? And here's the thing. Y'all might think that's judgment, but calling a thing is not judgment. Not one time do you hear me say, well, that's messed up that she did that. No, the rest of my co-hosts take care of the judgment department. Me calling out a thing, having the balls to call it for what it is, there's no judgment there. Go back and look at the tapes and be like, oh, no. But what I am pointing out, though, is that let's count the ways. They've been single. Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. When she made it to the scene, it was like, oh, look at her, healthy, thoughtful doctor talking about relationships. Now she got her titties everywhere. Is she a doctor or is this a dating show? She's on Pop the Balloon, it feels like, every time I see her on somebody's podcast. Like, what are we doing, sis? You know what I'm saying? After all that advertising, you know, the funnel did not work out. Hopefully you got some leads. What's going on here? I wish for them success in finding love. But let me dispel a couple of things real quickly. Number one, if she did have a libido of 10 people, that still may not be enough for a nigga to still want to step outside because maybe she's just annoying as fuck and the nigga want to change up every now and then. That's number one. Number two, it's no surprise to me. I'm always baffled by how these amazingly attractive, thoughtful, smart women be single and y'all be so quick to blame it on black men. Where's the accountability at, sis? Get you a rose. I'm gonna stop there because I got some more that I want to shoot, but I'm gonna let y'all talk. And depending on what y'all say, I might have to go back here with it. But y'all go right ahead.
Let me go ahead.
I just need to know.
Go ahead. Tell me.
I just need to know who validated that their libido was fire. Like who? Like I need sources. I mean, because she just self-referential said, "Hey, look, my libido was through the roof." Who validated that? And why are they not? Wouldn't they still be there? I mean, if you got the libido of 10 women in missionary, that don't even really count, you know, sis. We gotta stop playing here. it don't count. Stop it.
Holy Christ!
Look, like you say, look, you got the sex drive of 10 porn stars. You're beautiful. You got the girls out. Where are the niggas that are lining up with your feet to take you off the streets? Where are they?
Can I?
The math is none of this shit is making sense.
I am a single black woman over 40 who's degreed, who's single.
Yes.
And I have a rose.
Yes.
And I got niggas.
Great.
Let's be very clear.
Okay.
That the option,
but they don't have
do.
Any.
Here's the difference, though. The people that are attracted to you are not always of caliber. And in my experience, I have dated down. I'm married down because why? I'm a caring person and I love a blue collar man. But that didn't get me anywhere in my relationship because there is some intimidation factors at play when you are an educated woman who makes more than your man. When I tell men, yeah, I make this much per hour in what I do, and they're making a 300% less sometimes, right? That puts a person in a position to be single until you find someone who's capable. And so from my experience, I've dated really good men, good partners of all calibers from the bottom to the top, and things have worked. I've been accountable for some of the things I've brought into the table. But what I will say, I've never been so hoity-toity to think that my coochie could keep a man. no matter what my libido, no matter how good it is, because she didn't say it was good. You can have a very high libido with a trash box, right? And
That's what I'm
why he's
saying.
leaving. Nobody wants
We're
to
on the
hunt you
same
10
page.
times if the box is bad. But even if it's icky sticky and the greatest of all
It could
things,
be a pancake.
hey, she could be Beyonce, and he would still go cheat because Jay-Z did. And so it's for her to be a psychologist and say something like that to me is like, it must be for entertainment too, because we know better than that. You know that your sex is not going to keep a man, no matter how good it is, because leaving is a choice.
Now, look, the
gonna have to
part of what
advertise
she said,
that.
I did agree with. Yes, the aunties are outside. They are acting
we
up.
are.
Don't have your kids thinking y'all are not out here doing, doing some wild shit. Your aunties are outside. So that part I agree with, but them in particular, I don't know. They just, that's not validated. I'm not buying it.
So I just want to point out that in Dr. Bryant case, she's actually been engaged 2 or 3 times, and she ended
Here we
up
go.
not. I'm just saying that there
The
was people
engagement
who wanted,
Olympics.
which I actually disagree with. To me, that feels like folks who are constantly engaged, just like the idea of being engaged, right? They lack the follow through of marriage itself because they just like that chase. And once the chase is ended with that engagement, they probably lost interest. That's the way I interpret
She's a runner.
I'm not saying that's what happened with her, but that's the way I interpret the people who are constantly getting engaged but fail to follow through. I think there was a Julia Roberts movie made about the woman who ran away from marriage all the time.
Yeah, runaway bride.
That's what it was, exactly. So, but I will say that while those two may or may not be speaking their truth or whatnot, there are studies that say that women peak in their early 30s through their mid 40s when it comes to sexuality and their libido, because it's not just their sex drive. They feel most it's the confidence that they may have, it's the knowledge of self, because women be masturbating, they be fronting like they don't, but they be masturbating, so they have knowledge of self, and then being comfortable with their body once they're in their 30s and to mid 40s, they're usually pretty comfortable with their bodies, and so that's all part of why they tend to peak in their sexuality in their mid 30s or early 30s to mid 40s. And so I believe there's some validity in what they're saying because there's multiple studies that actually speak to this exactly. And so now as far as the 10, I will agree with Tia that it don't matter if you can have the best bomb ass cooch. And if a guy want to step out, he going to step out, because sometimes someone told me one day that you may have filet mignon at house, but someday you want a burger. And so while you recognize you have filet mignon at the house, sometimes you just got to get greasy with it. And so that could be the situation that's occurring when they stepping out. So I don't necessarily think that it's sex that keeps that man. I think it's actually discipline that will keep that man in that house. And that just depends on where his discipline and his mentality or thought process lies with that relationship, right? And so I just say that I kind of call a cap on what they were saying, because when she said 10, I was like, get the fuck out of here. But I don't know. I'm not in her box. I'm not in her room. I'm not a fly on the wall.
Well, listen.
So I can't tell you, but I do know she ain't got one though. And so, or at least the one that she's not bringing out. So I'm just saying, but there is validity in her convo about women in their 40s having a high sex drive. That's valid. There's multiple studies that prove it. So I just want, I saw Nic say listen, so I'm going to go ahead and toss it to him because I do have one more thought, and that thought may be, okay, so cool. So this is what I'm going to say to the women out there and to some of these young bucks men, So you talked about Tracy Ellis a little bit, threw it to her, and how she kind of like younger men. She said younger, not young. Younger, ER. So with that being said, I just want to make sure we clarify, because some men automatically went to, she would get an 18-year-old herself or a 19-year-old herself. No, she said younger. Now, men tend to peak in their pants around 18. You know what I'm saying? They tend to peak early on in their 20s. And so women, you tend to peak around 35 and after. Hey, I'm just saying.
Maxed out early.
You know what I'm saying? Y'all have a tendency. So 18 was me being facetious, but to be honest, though, it's in y'all 20s, y'all tend to peak on sexually, right? And so it's about biology for men, whereas for women, it's more about their confidence level peaking when they're later on in life. And so that's why if you can't handle your woman when she in her 30s, 40s, then you know what I'm saying? It's because she glowed up mentally and sexually. You know what I'm saying? And you may have peaked a little early. You talking about let her suffer in silence.
Choosing violence.
You said let her suffer in silence.
I mean, listen.
She better grab that
We be
rose.
moving on to Cialis and gas station pills.
If I was
The
bringing
gas station.
premium P for the last 20 years and you just wasn't enjoying it the way you should have because you didn't know your body, and now that the table is turned, sorry, Ma, you better go to your spec bank and remember the good times. The fuck?
Not going to your bank.
Listen,
Your memory bank.
yeah, you be like, ooh, remember July 23rd and 25? That shit was fire. Right? The fuck?
Fire. It was a good day.
I mean, and then on top of that, like, it's in perimenopausal, like right around the corner. I guess the well just wells up before it just runs dry. Huh? It's like, hey, last hurrah, everybody get in when you can. Stop it. I'm sorry.
I think that the joke is that
No,
by
but listen.
40, you guys have reached your peak libido, and that shit starts going downhill,
Hey,
literally.
listen,
And there's a necessity for other
you know,
enhancers to help you guys be able to keep up
listen,
with the 10.
listen, I don't normally say this, right? But you know how like you could work and put enough work in to where you could retire, right? And you could live off of that for the rest of your life. Like you can have a legacy. If I don't fuck no more, I'm good.
That's horrible.
Right?
That's horrible.
I'm
Fuck.
not saying that's
these
what I would
words do not
want.
compute.
That's why we
You
stay
clearly-
single
you
in
clearly-
40s then. Fuck it.
This is clearly why like some of y'all might still be single because we're from Mars and y'all are from Venus. Y'all don't want to hear or listen. Nobody is saying that's what one wants or desires. I'm saying the amount of work that I put in, it is what it is. God forbid if I am like parallel, guess what? Now, normally I was like, you know what? I might be the type of husband that could stay married and be like, hey, baby, go ahead and get yours out there. I know I can't do it because I'm just going to roll up on y'all. No, I'm just chill, right? I thought that. But then I thought to myself, all this good dick I've been giving out, sorry, it's going to be at least about a 5 to 10 year period where I got to figure it out. And you got to work with me. You got to stay patient. It's like, hey, one day I'm going to get there.
She gonna say it was the grace of God that kept her there with this nigga.
The grace of God.
Hey, no,
Kept me there.
Hey, babe, listen, you know what? I want to be able to do this for you, but I'm just not there right now. One day I'm going to get there.
Call John.
I'm just gonna say this is why there's so many pills and so forth on the market for men because their libido decreases around their 40s. That's
Hey,
why
but hold
you
on.
have so many
No, it's
testosterone,
decreasing earlier
Cialis,
now.
Viagra.
Okay, hold on.
Then you have your what's that back in the day? Spanish fly. What was it called?
They doing the honey
No,
packs now.
Let's have a real conversation, right? Because I feel like we never really do, and we can close it out. It's been a great conversation so far, but I do want to say this. Like, y'all act like y'all just gotta, like, it's the pressure is different on our side. You know what I'm saying?
It is.
Like
The burden of performance.
yeah,
The
like
burden
the
of proof.
blood gotta rush there.
Mhm.
We gotta be able to, you know what I'm saying? And then we gotta have rhythm. We gotta have, you know what I mean? And then we gotta
The core
last.
gotta be.
And then, you know what I mean? And like, I mean, listen, I'm not knocking out y'all don't do stuff, but it's like if you turn the car on, it's like this should be, you know, the car is on. It's not like, you know. So just give brothers a little bit of grace. We've been running around the track. We've been pedal to the metal since we were like 12 a little bit. You know, once we got the joystick, we just been shifting ever since. You know what I'm saying? So where's the grace for us as men? You know what I mean? No grace. Oh, no, but in all seriousness though, do y'all think though that might be it? Like if a woman prioritizes sex that much, right? And then she wants a man at a certain status and or like let's say, you know, both these women probably they want a guy who's wealthy enough, who's successful enough or whatever, right? And we keep on joking, but there is some truth to what S&M said that men do kind of decline a little bit when it comes to sexually. So when I talk about like women having to make hard choices, if those women had the choice of a man who fit like their other boxes, but sex was just one that it was mediocre. It wasn't going to be what they thought it was going to be. Is that a sacrifice that it was reasonable for them to be willing to make or no? Because if it's not, then what the fuck are we talking about? Is that a reasonable sacrifice? Like if you want, because they both talked about marriage and they talked about fidelity, right? Hey, my sex is so much. So if you're giving your man enough sex to where he's good, but that probably means it's maybe more than he needs, right? But he checks all your other boxes. Is it fair for them to try to figure if they want to settle for that or no?
Well, since we got a gap, because I've had the same conversation with women, Nick, and I've asked them, listen, he checks all the other boxes, but the peen is mid on a good night. But he checks every other
It can't
box.
be mid on a good night. Come on,
It's
give him like
mid.
average
at best.
Go ahead.
Average at best.
Okay.
You know, do you go with it? And most of the women said, yeah, I would take him checking all my boxes, and the sex is mid. Like, okay, cool, all right. So it's a trade off to your point, but is that a trade off women are willing to take? Because as the saying goes, some guys are there for the bills, some guys are there for the thrills. She probably is not going to tell you which one you are. She would ideally like to get both of those things in the same man, but sometimes you can't. So which one are you going to pick?
Well, I have a response if that's okay. Similar to the conversation about the ugly girl with the man who wanted another partner, know who you are. If your dick is whack, then understand and respect the fact that I have to go somewhere else to get pleased. Be blessed that you have someone like me who checks off all your boxes. You should feel the grace of God amongst you to allow me to go and deal with somebody else because you are aware that your dick don't work or that you mid on your best night. Because who admits that first? And then, like...
I was just about to ask.
They don't have to
I'm
admit
gonna
it.
pull up
We
on
know.
you and say, look, girl, I like you. I just got to warn you up front. I'm mid.
They be like, I got two
I
pumps
want
in
to
the
be
shake.
with you.
How can we work
I got
this
two
out?
pumps and then I'm going to sleep.
S&M?
So I was just going to say that I've actually seen some relationships where the woman settled because the guy did check all the box. But the one thing they didn't settle about, if the peen was mid or below average, then the cunnilingus had to be on point. They had to be a pussy-eating connoisseur. And then they were able to settle. But if they couldn't get that and the peen was trash, then they weren't willing to settle. They was like, hey, I can work with everything else on the box, but I got to at least get this. There needs to be some satisfaction. And then even for the ones who couldn't get that satisfaction, they actually had a lot of sex toys in play. And then I know there was this one guy, he was hilarious to me, where he was told that his shit was trash. So he went and got a penis pump and started working on building that girth. And I was just like, wait, what? First of all, why are you telling me this? But, I appreciate the fact that he was maybe because I saw the box. But anyways, so I appreciate the fact that he was willing to admit that, he had to go get a penis pump. He was practicing dancing because apparently he ain't have no rhythm, didn't know how to move. So I can see y'all when y'all talk about some of that pressure on you, but I think it depends on the woman, and she has to know what she wants in life. If she really wants those boxes checked, like the lady from God, if she really wants the boxes checked, then by all means, do what you do, And otherwise, I don't know. I'm just thankful for my husband. I ain't gonna lie. I am thankful for my husband.
Aww.
Thank you. So.
I do want to call back before we give some final thoughts, because you did mention Tracy Ellis Ross, and what I didn't realize at the time, that I was the younger man. Right? I was like, wait a minute, how old is she again? Because I was like, damn, Tracy. I was so caught up in the breaking heart part that I didn't realize, like, low key, I might be like enraged. You know what I'm saying? Like, I even talked to the wife. She was like, hey, yeah, I get it. You know what I mean? Like, because I feel like that's a whole different story for a different day. I'd have her wanting to get married for real. But anywho, listen, final thoughts in regards. She might be like, I'm 53, put a baby in me. Put that big black baby
Big black baby in me. Big daddy.
But listen, before we get up out of here, I know people out here catching flights, not catching feelings.
You feel
you dig
me?
what I'm saying?
Staying in the friendly skies.
You heard me? Because the skies be friendly. You dig what I'm
You
saying?
hear me?
So before we get up out of here, what are your final thoughts? We'll start with, hey, Ertia, what's happening? What are your final thoughts?
Well, I enjoyed tonight, and all I'm going to end with is that I'm single, I'm educated, I'm cute, and you can slide in my DMs and help me catch a flight next time.
Hey, be careful now. Okay, you might get flooded, girl. Be careful out there. You heard.
I'm going to ignore them like I ignore the rest.
Except for the
He's
ones
gonna
that
leave
you
you
really
on red. Fair warning.
And
yes. Is there a amount of time that he should, like, if it's a week, a month, like he should just give up, or just, hey, you just never know?
When you see that hey girl, hey beautiful, good morning beautiful has been read, give it up. If I didn't immediately say hey, then it's a wrap. We ain't gonna waste no time.
Okay. Facts. Okay, Delvin, man. Final thoughts, my brother. Appreciate you.
Oh, appreciate you guys, man. Dope show as always, man. We had to cover Shannon. Again, a lot of this is, whether it's Shannon or the wife, it's about making good choices and being able to live with it. And Shannon, I'm disappointed in you. I keep circling back to that, man. Come on, man. I'm an unk now. You're making the unk coalition of America look like a clown. We got to, the unks got to stick together.
That's a fact.
Unk mob. We got it. Okay.
Not Unk
the mob.
Okay. You'll get some t-shirts. Another one.
Yeah.
We'll talk to strangers later. But go ahead, S&M.
So I appreciate, Devin, you calling this man out. You know what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, I appreciate men calling out men in general, because at some point we need men to start checking other men, and maybe we can get this world back on track. And so I appreciate the fact that you two are willing to do so. And so shout out to all the men that's checking men. And as women, we'll continue to try to share that too. Put y'all in check or get y'all in order, or in some cases, as someone so-called claimed, with love. So anyway, so with that being said, just shout out to y'all for putting men in check. Go ahead, do that, because you're right. He did make the UNC coalition look bad.
You know what's funny about what you said, S&M? You was like, I want to shout y'all out for getting on men, yay. And then when you said, hey, as women, I thought you were going to say, hey, yeah, we're going to do our part as it relates to the women. But you're like, nah, we're going to join y'all in calling out the men.
I caught the shade too. I thought we were going someplace positive, but
you know what? That's fine, because that's why I am here, to provide balance. You dig what I'm saying? But listen, I'm gonna end with this, because I think what I think I realized is that I feel like Black women in particular, modern Black women in particular, right, deal with two problems: wanting it all and thinking they can have it all. And that may be just a modern woman thing in general, right? And I don't say this to like belittle Black women in any type of way, but I do think that when we talk about some of the stories, right, it's like they want it all. Okay, I get it. You want the career, you want the husband, you want the guy with the big dick, there's a lot that you want, and it's hard to have all of it. I think people have to make choices. Sometimes if you want the family and the happiness and all that, maybe he don't got the fire dick. When I moved to New York after graduation, I quickly learned that you sometimes are only going to get 2 out of 3 things. You can't have a cheap apartment that's safe, right? And that's nice. Like, there's only but so much of that to go around, right? So I just feel like I want to encourage people not necessarily settle, but to understand that that's the choices that we have to make sometimes. Like the woman who was the pastor lady, I get it. It was funny. We're talking about that. But I don't want to discount her ability to understand her reality and have made choices that brought to fruition her desires. But we'd be so quick to judge. So yes, I am included in that, because I am judging why 2 amazingly attractive women who seem to have it all can't seem to find a man who can satisfy them. But then it hit me. They want it all, and they think that they can have it all. And I think they're a testimony to the fact that you just can't. And when you choose to make decisions, stand on it. And that's cool too. But the rest of us are going to use you as proxy and for fodder in conversation on podcasts. So with that being said, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, share, and all that good stuff. Hopefully we pissed a few of y'all off. So it's comment. You know what I'm saying? Let us know your thoughts. Tia's DMs is open. You dig what I'm saying? And then Tracy Ellis Ross, my DMs are open too, by the way, just in case. Other than that, don't forget we got merch coming, and apparently some new merch just based off of tonight's conversation. But on behalf of myself and Tia and Del the expert and S&M Jones J, we appreciate you, man. Get better, my guy. We'll see y'all next week, and hopefully he'll join us. Until then, be easy. Peace.